Hello, everyone. Welcome to a brand new episode of Eva Talk. I'm Radhika, and I'm thrilled to introduce our speaker today, Ella Glasgow. She is not only an award winning vocalist, but a best selling author, but also the founder of Beyond Virtual Events. Ella's expertise lies in creating virtual events that leave a real impact. I am sure for that because her backstage talk really left an impact on me. Welcome to the talk, Ella.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm excited to be here and I'm looking forward to the conversation.
That's great. So, meeting planners turn to Ella for her unparalleled expertise in crafting events that leave a lasting impact. She delivers top notch events through her signature E.N.C.O.R.E method, a transformative approach that ensures every virtual experience under her guidance is nothing short of extraordinary. Let's give a warm welcome to our incredible Ella Glasgow. And with this, I will have my first question for you. For a virtual and hybrid events, what strategies have you found most effective for engaging and retaining audiences?
So, when it comes to virtual and hybrid, this is something that I'm really adamant about, a tool that's being used to keep events moving forward. When it comes to hybrid events, um, I feel that they should be happening for probably everyone's events. Um, Something that I feel gets missed when it comes to creating events in this new era that we're living in, post everyone being at home. I
Yes.
think that it sometimes is forgotten now that everyone's really excited. They're like, oh my God, we can go back in person. Yeah. And they forget that there were people before the
Yes.
pandemic that could not
Yes.
attend their event for
Yeah.
one reason or another. And not that hybrid events are new because of the pandemic, they've been around for forever. But
Yes.
the expectations have changed now that we know that they're possible. So when it comes to how you're putting those events together and making them a part of your event strategy, we're thinking about reaching new audiences. And those new audiences may be people that have been a part of your circle, but have never been able to attend the events that you've had in the past for whatever reason. Maybe they're a mom, a single mom with kids that they can't find a sitter for, and they can't fly halfway around the world and be gone for 5 days. They just can't do
Yes.
it. But they can attend an event from home if you give them the access. And that's what I feel hybrid really is. It's access for those who want to be a part of your community, that maybe already are a part of your community, but haven't necessarily felt as welcomed in because they haven't been able to get to where the community is gathering.
That is so true. That, people who were not the part of our community then could now do it. And it's great. See, even on this platform, we could connect. And of course, Floor has been there, working on the same motive that, we can give access to virtual events and hybrid events. So thank you for that tip. Now, how do you ensure a seamless and engaging experience for both in person and remote attendees for hybrid events?
The way that I ensure it is to keep in mind both audiences and do as much as we can to be inclusive of both audiences. You have probably seen this. We've all seen it. And the best example that I can give, depending on where you are in the world watching this, for those of us that are stateside, then you will understand what it is that I'm talking about. And I imagine this has happened around the world as well with churches. This is what I'm talking about, that have been around for a long time. What they've been doing is they have what's called an overflow room. Nobody wants to be in the overflow room. It's the room where they've put a camera up at the back of the sanctuary.
Okay.
And from the back of the sanctuary, it's for the people that have not gotten to church on time. So they are relegated to the overflow room because there are no seats in the sanctuary for them to participate. but they can see everything that's going on in the sanctuary. They look like they're having a great time. They're just having great music. They're jumping around. They're hearing the pastor say things to them, to the people in the sanctuary. Meanwhile, the people in the overflow room feel like second class citizens because nobody's addressing them. Nobody wants to be in the overflow room. That was okay pre-COVID, but now that we're in this era after COVID, those expectations have changed. So when it
Yeah.
comes to putting hybrid events together, if I'm on the team putting them together, I'm thinking about the people that are in the virtual side. I want them to be as included as possible. One of the ways that we make that happen is making sure that we have a host that understands how to be Ryan Seacrest. And what do I
Yeah.
mean by that? What do I mean by that? Somebody that understands how to be on camera and engage both the audience that's in the room and the audience that's in the camera. Why is that
Yes.
important? That makes it a unified experience. That means that the people in the room and the people on camera are not getting two different experiences. They are now enveloped in the same experience that's happening for everyone at the event. I think that's one of the key things, but it takes having a host that understands how to do that. It just so happens that I happen to be one of those hosts that understands
Yeah.
how to do that. It's not
All right.
everyone's forte to understand how
Yeah.
to be on camera and engage both places. So you want to make sure that you have that functionality. There's so much more that I can go into, but I know that we're limited on time. I'll leave you with that one.
Definitely, we'll have another episode to discuss all those strategies that you have to share with us. And engaging, I am sure that you do that great. So kudos on that. And I'm great to hear about this tip, inclusiveness. I think inclusiveness in a lot of sense makes the experience very seamless and great for anybody attending, be it be hybrid or even just for a normal event format. When you have a person that's including you and things that makes you feel more related, it's great. So yes,
Exactly.
definitely that is one thing we can talk about. So with this, I have another questions like, can you share some tips with event planners to handle pre-event rehearsals and run-throughs for virtual or hybrid events to ensure everything runs smoothly on the day of the event?
Sure. I'm going to speak specifically from the virtual side first, because something that I've noticed. So, first, let me give you a bit of my background. You mentioned a little bit of it. My background is that I am a professional entertainer, meaning that
Oh,
I have been on stages around the world for over 20 years. So my background comes
great.
with me when I'm
Yeah.
producing events for people. Why is that important in the way that I think? When it comes to rehearsals, that's something that I'm deep into. And as a performer, I'm used to doing rehearsals that go obviously into detail. Not every rehearsal goes into detail. And there's one particular rehearsal that I use for our events that come from my world of being an entertainer on the stage. We call them, in the world of performance, we call it tops and tails. And
Okay.
so for that, that means that we're going to take the top of whatever that scene is that's happening, and we're going to go immediately to the tail. Why is that important? It's important for transitions so
Yeah.
that everyone knows how to get from point A to point B and into the next point A and point B. Because on the professional stage, sometimes you may see someone's top or tail because they didn't make that change quite quickly enough.
Yes.
So, in the virtual world, when it comes to doing that thing similarly, it helps for people to do tops and tails so that we as the producers understand what's happening before, all of the things, whatever buttons, scenes, pictures, graphics, music we need to pull up, and
Yes.
then what how that transitions into the next thing. I don't necessarily need to hear the entire talk at that time for this particular tech run, but I do need to know, okay, how we're getting into it, how we're getting out of it. And it's not just me that needs to know. The speaker needs to know how we're getting into it, how we're getting out of it. I understand that some events don't have a lot of tech involved in them, and that means that maybe that tops and tails run doesn't go quite as long. But as a whole, for event planners and for speakers, it needs to be something that we all get used to. For me, I understand. Also being a speaker, I know we all get up in our feelings when somebody asks us to come to a rehearsal. And we're like, we already know what to do. Why are you asking me why I gotta be there? Look, it's not about you. It's
Yeah.
not because we think that you're horrible. In fact, it's
Mhm.
because we think you're great. You're here
Mhm.
because we think you're amazing. And
Yeah.
we're doing this rehearsal so that everyone is on the
Yeah.
same page. So for
Yeah.
event planners to be able to communicate this information to speakers so that speakers can take it down a notch. And I'm saying this being one that has gotten all up in my feelings about stuff. I know what I'm doing. You don't need to rehearse me. Yes, we do, because we don't know you.
So, of course, I we the rehearsals. I would say it is quite important with this, with your conclusion. I would say, and yes, to run an event smoothly, it's actually a task, and these rehearsals can help. So, anything else that you would like to add to the same?
Yeah, they can more than help. Rehearsals
Yeah.
are the absolute linchpin in making sure that an event runs smoothly. Something that I say to speakers whenever we're going through those tech runs, I tell them at the beginning, I want everything to break right now. Everything is
Yeah.
going to break right now. It freaks me out if something doesn't break right now. So just know things are going to fall apart at this rehearsal. That's what we want. Why? Because I don't want it to fall apart at the event. Do you?
Surely.
That's why we're here. Let's break everything now,
Yes.
and then we'll have an excellent event. Because unlike the shows that I've been in over the years, where they run for 3 months, 6 months at a time, we get one shot. We get one shot at this event and you being on the stage. And you're telling me that you don't want to make sure that everything's okay? Okay. All right. I'm done.
All right. And as you said, the tops and tails, of course, that is a pick that, at least do a run through, but definitely have rehearsals because that's going to help. So, yeah, Ella, thank you for that tip. Now, with this, I would also like to know, how do you foster networking and interaction among on site and virtual attendees? Can you share any creative methods you've used to facilitate, connections?
So I'm thinking about an event that we did um, a while ago for the National Science Foundation. And
Oh,
for that particular event, we made sure that those on the ground and those in the air um, could connect to each other. So we used Zoom, and it was wonderful because we were able to beam all those that were online into the room, so our room in the our audience saw who was online, so it really felt like they were a part of the same story. And there were
yeah.
many of them that had their laptops, their phones, and they logged into Zoom themselves from inside the room so that they could meet and connect and network with the people that they hadn't seen in a while.
All right.
So they
So
were
all
able to
together on screen.
Exactly. They were all together. They were all together on screen, and they would mix and mingle during the lunch breaks.
That
Whether
is
they were,
great.
they'd sit around the table and put their Zoom cameras up so everybody could see who was on the screen, who couldn't be there necessarily in the room.
Uh-huh. That is great. That's a great tip. So, any other thing, anything more that you would like to add from any recent event that you did, that could help our audience?
I don't have any other tips to add for you right now, but I may come back
Yes,
in the
definitely.
merry.
So, uh, what do you believe are the most significant challenges and opportunities in the current landscape of virtual and hybrid events?
What are the challenges that I see? The challenges that I see are really having to do with something that we kind of talked about before, in some not understanding that they need a team to make these things happen. And I'm thinking about a conversation that I had recently with someone who had asked me to come and basically observe their event to see where I could be helpful for their events in the future. And When they had that event, once they were done, we had a little debrief call. And I asked her first, before I gave my, what I saw,
Mhm.
I said, tell me what you feel was
Yes.
something that could be where you feel like I could help. And she said, actually, I thought that just because we were on Zoom all the time, that we could just, throw up a link and call it a day. It's a lot of work. And I said, you're right. Because there were a lot of things that went haywire for
Yeah.
their particular event, including people being able to get into the event. So
Oh,
people misunderstand what it takes to put a virtual and a hybrid event together. You cannot simply throw up a link and expect it to be suddenly an event. There are all kinds of things that need to happen. I liken it to someone walking into the Hilton Hotel, asking an event planner at the hotel to show them a room, and
yeah.
once shown the room, saying, well, it's an event now. No, it's not. You still need to dress the room. You still need to get pieces. You still need to get a stage. You still need to get all the decor. There's so much that needs to happen. It's the same on a virtual platform. You can't just call and be mad that it didn't look cute because you didn't do anything to it.
You just made everything sound really hilarious. So, yes, of course, this happens. This actually happens
It
that people
happens
expect.
all the time. It happens all the
Yes,
time. So
definitely.
so that's what
So,
I think, what that's what I see for the future, that people need to really understand that this space that we're in now, because this space that we're in is not going away. Now that
yeah.
we know that we can meet this way, the fact that you are in India and I am in the States, that we've known that this can happen, right? We've known
Yes.
it. We've
Yeah.
done it. But we weren't
Yeah.
like, now we're in it. It's not
Yes.
going away. So we have to begin um, to change that narrative and begin to
Mhm.
understand that, especially because there are so many virtual event platforms, and it's not
Yes.
the platform that makes the event. That's the other thing that I feel that people get mixed up. They get
Mhm.
stuck on a particular platform, and because there's over 300, there are over 300
Surely,
virtual
the market
event
is big.
platforms, right? We're not going to see all of them. I'm not looking into all of them. I don't have that kind of time. I have a friend that
Yeah.
does that. He's amazing. That's his job. But we're not going to do that. And you, as an event planner, are not going to do that either, because you don't have that kind of time. That being said, do not let a platform sway you into thinking that simply because they've given you a room, that that is suddenly what makes an event, because it is not true.
All right. We also would like to suggest here that the next time you're planning a virtual event, do consider Floor. It is here, you're on it right now. And I am sure I'll be personally there to help you to make the experience a little better for you. So here, I would really recommend the next time you have something to let us.
That I'm
I would say that you should always you should personally, that's like a thing that you should share your insights on how to engage people, because this conversation has been hilarious. It has been great. You've shared tips, but you've also made it really nice. So light and sunny, I would say. So that is one thing, that is something we have to learn from Ella. And we will wait for like an article or video on it, that how should we do it right in that way.
Well, I can shed some light on that, on how
Yes.
that happens, because and this is what I'm saying when it comes to not allowing the platform to be the thing that's your crutch. Don't allow the platform to be the thing that is your event, because that's only one piece of it. We talked about the tech of it all, and making sure we've gone through the rehearsals, making sure we've gone through the tech run, the tops and tails, and all the things. And those are the foundational pieces. On top of that is the icing. All of
Yes.
those technical pieces have to be done first. I like to tell people, if you haven't done the groundwork for things, then you put bells and whistles on top, graphics, funny, all the things, then a you have a shitty cake with bells and whistles. That's okay. So, but when it comes to how you engage the audience, it takes your understanding, a number one, who you're talking to. And I know you hear that all the time, right?
Yeah,
We
yeah.
all we hear understand who your audience is, blah, blah, blah. But what does that mean exactly? And how do you communicate? Well, first of all, for me, and I'm going to take it from my standpoint, and I want you to pull from it what you will for yourself. Um, because oftentimes people will look at me and they'll be like, well, I can't be you. I don't need you to be me. I'm not asking you to be me. I'm holding me down just fine. What I need you to be is you. And that
Yeah.
means that you, as an event planner, as a host, whatever that is, you're going to have to be able to look deep inside yourself and pull out those traits that make you uniquely you. Something that gets said to me all the time, if you see me on LinkedIn, my title is Director of Funability. That's
Yeah.
what I use as the differentiator for myself because I looked deep inside of myself. What is it that I do that's unique? I'm fun. Okay. I'm the director of vulnerability. And I bring that to every event, regardless of what type of event it is, understanding what type of event it is. So that
Yeah.
means if we're doing a continuing education training for, let's say, lawyers, and it's something that's absolutely dry, and people have said to this to me, like, lawyers are not dry, but apparently your training is, okay? So let's say it's something that's a dry training that you're required to be there. Nobody really wants to be there, and the trainer is just, mm, we're here because we have to be, not because we want to be. When you look into events like that, there are ways for you to infuse elements of fun. What is it that Mary Poppins said? You find the fun. You find the fun and snap. The job's a game, right?
Yeah.
So, um, you find what can be fun for the group of people, but you have to use that with specificity and with purpose. Because the other thing that happens is that people will hear what it is that I'm saying, and because someone said, myself or someone else said, well, you got to add fun. Then they just throw stuff at the wall with absolutely no rhyme or reason and then wonder why it falls flat. It has to have purpose. At the end of the day, whatever it is has to have purpose. It's guiding us from one piece to the next piece, all the way to our ultimate goal. And when you do those things correctly, you'll find, and it doesn't mean that everybody's going to laugh and kiki and caca. No, that may not be you. That may not be your personality. That may not be your host's personality. And that's okay. I'm not
Yeah.
saying that it has to be crazy. And while I'm this way for this moment, yes, I want us to be fun. We're going to laugh. We're going to do all the things. We're going to make things happen. But understand that I also understand how to be serious when I need to be serious. There are some events that are some moments that need
Yeah.
the seriousness. That's the ride. That's another thing that I talk about. That's the ride that you are taking your audience on. There
Yeah.
have to be ebbs and
Moment.
flows. It can't
Yes.
be just the entire time, or people are going to fall asleep. And it can't be the entire time because
Yeah.
people are going to get sensed out, right?
Yes.
You have to be able to create a wave, create a roller coaster ride, as it were, with however you're presenting that event to the people that gives them moments that are high and give them moments that bring them right on down and then bring
Very
them back up again and then train them, get them safely back into the station. And they feel like that was amazing by the time they
yes.
get.
Yes. Definitely. So the process and the purpose are very, very important, I would say. So
Mhm.
great, great. Thank you for sharing this. So, as in-person events are experiencing a resurgence, what are your forecasts for the role and significance of virtual events in 2024?
As you said, as virtual events are experiencing a resurface, or in-person events, sorry.
Uh, I was talking about in-person events are experience a resurgence.
Right. So it's as I mentioned before, when it comes to the in-person events, I know we're excited. We're super duper excited about being able to, physically hug each other again and know that we're in the same energy space again. And I feel that it cannot go without saying enough that we mustn't leave this virtual side.
Yeah.
And the neat thing is that you can use virtual as a part of your strategy, either to be the culmination event or the event that leads up to the in-person event. However you do that, it should never be something, because I've heard this said and it makes my skin crawl when I hear it, that people use virtual and make it a little less than so that people have FOMO for the in-person. Stop doing that to
Yeah.
your people. Don't do that.
Yeah.
That's not fair on them, and it's certainly not fair to even those in the room, that you would
Yes.
treat people as second class citizens because they could not get to your in-person event for whatever the reason may be. So I
Yes.
feel that while in person is on the rise, that virtual people will begin to see again, oh yeah, we really actually still do need this
Yes.
virtual side. And not only do we need it, but we need someone that can help us to make this an experience that makes sense within the ecosystem of our company and helps us to really drive whatever narrative that we're trying to drive forward and give the answers that we're trying to give to the audience that we are working with, whether that be an internal audience or an external audience.
All right. So with this, we can say that, hybrid events could be the one that is helping us out in this. So that's great. And I suppose the former part that you mentioned that was there and that is still existing. So yeah. And with this, I think I can end this talk. And it was so good to talk to you. It was such a great, great conversation. I got to learn a lot, and I am sure that this is going to pass on a lot of ideas and making people think on how they should be doing engagement into their events and much more. So thank you again, Ella, for joining. And it was definitely a very great time for me to hear you talk about all the things virtual and hybrid. Of course, we talked about all kinds of format. So it was great. And thank you again for joining. And we can say that the key tips that we got from you was to include people. The process is important, and of course, the purpose into how you're putting the event through. So, thank you again, Ella. Thank you so much for joining in.
Thank you for having me. Bye, everybody.
Thank you, everyone, for joining in. We'll be back again with a new episode and definitely catch this one up. You're going to have a great time. Thank you.